Hey guys, what's up? Bob here. So, today we're going to be doing a deck profile for my Spellbook Prophecy deck. This is my favorite deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! And I've been trying to keep it competitive. I've been using this deck for a very long time. So, yeah, let me just go ahead and show you what I got. First off, we're going to be running 3 copies of High Priestess of Prophecy. She's basically your boss monster in this deck, and a very good boss monster in my opinion. She's got an effect that you can use every turn. She's got pretty much the entire Spellbook archetype backing her up, keeping her alive. And, you know, just really, really easy to summon. So, basically everything you want from a boss monster like that. A little bit more attack would be nice, but basically she can just pop something every turn. Attack, whatever. You know, keep herself protected from spells and traps with Spellbook of Wisdom. So you're definitely going to want to, you know, be seeing her as often as you can. She's, like I said, your boss monster. Next up, 3 copies of Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. This dude's your Stratos. He's very easy to just kind of get your combos started through him. He gets a search every time he's normal summoned, or flip face up, which can be, you know, pretty often. You can use Fate or Book of Moon to flip him face down. So, you get a lot of searches off of one of these guys, or, you know, at least 1 or 2. And, yeah, he's basically the heart and soul of the deck, because he gets all of your plays started. Next up, we've got 1 copy of Temperance of Prophecy. Temperance is, in my opinion, better than Justice, because Justice does not go to your graveyard when you use her effect. Yes, you do get an extra card, but neither of the resources are active right when you need them. And you don't get the extra draw from Tower next turn. So in my opinion, that really balances out. And then what puts Temperance ahead is that the priestess that you summon off of this is able to attack, use its effect, anything you want it to that turn, and it's, you know, just ready to go. So in my opinion, Temperance is better than Justice in this deck, and yeah, that's why we have it. Next up, 2 copies of Kycoo the Ghost Destroyer. Kycoo is actually really good against the meta right now, because a lot of them want to get effects that can banish, or feasibly, you know, just not have their stuff banished from the graveyard. Kycoo kind of deals with both of those, and he also has, you know, 1800 attack, which means you can Spellbook of Power and attack over stuff. So Kycoo is definitely a worth running, and he really does contribute to the control aspect of the deck. Next up, we've got 2 copies of Effect Veiler. Veiler's better in spellbooks than it is in any other deck, because it's a spellcaster. It goes to your graveyard, which makes both Tower and Spellbook of Life active. It also allows you to do synchro plays, so Veiler's, in my opinion, stable for Prophecy. Next up, 1 copy of Malefic Stardust Dragon. Now you're probably wondering, like, what's up with that? Malefic Stardust Dragon basically protects Tower from destroying from being destroyed, and that in turn protects him from destroying himself. He's a 2500 beater that is free to summon, and he's just, you know, really nasty generally. He can really help control the field early game, especially if you can, you know, have him, Tower, maybe a Vanity's Emptiness or something. You can really take over games and just not let your opponent play. So that's all the monsters. There's 12, so there you go. Next up, we've got the spells. First off, this is going to be 3 copies of Spellbook of Secrets. Secrets searches any Spellbook card, including Blue Boy, so you definitely need 3 of it. I mean, everybody who's ever played against Prophecy knows that. Next up, 2 copies of Spellbook Library of the Crescent. I only run 2 because I think that it's not very good late game, or even mid game. You're definitely going to prefer to have something else later, and you don't want to draw it at that point, so I only run 2 because Spellbook Magician can usually just snag it from the deck, and if you don't get it first turn, it's not the worst thing in the world, so especially because I am running 3 copies of Spellbook of the Master. 3 Master as opposed to 3 Crescent is better in my opinion, because Master has a lot more utility mid to late game. You can copy the effect of Eternity, you can copy Power. Basically, you can do a lot that Crescent just can't do, and it's a lot easier to satisfy the activation conditions, in my opinion. So, 3 Master is definitely worth it. So, let me get these out of the way. We'll go on to the next set. First, Spellbook Star Hall. Star Hall it kind of carries the reputation of not being as good, or not being good at all since Judgment got banned, but since we are running 2 kycoo in the main deck, basically Star Hall is, even if it only has like 2 or 3 counters on it, which is very easy to do, it makes kycoo nearly indestructible from, standard stuff that you can summon. So basically a Star Hall plus a kycoo plus like a vanities or something, it can be really difficult to get over. So yeah, I think Star Hall is good in this deck, the way it's built right now. It also gives you a search. I know it can miss timing, but it's definitely worth that, considering that you do get a search if it gets destroyed. And it doesn't matter how it's destroyed, so you can actually destroy it yourself if you need to. Next up, 2 copies of Grand Spellbook Tower. This is one of the best field spells in the game. It gives you an extra draw, it gives you a ton of utility, and Malefic Stardust Dragon is going to be there to protect it. But yeah, it also can summon a monster. I know that can miss timing, so, but like a lot of people discount it. But you do, if your opponent doesn't know what they're doing, you can definitely take advantage of that. So next up, we've got 1 copy of Spellbook of Fate. I wish it was 2, but Fate's at 1. Fate is your all-purpose out to everything, as I always say, other than killer, but whatever. Fate, basically, it doesn't target, it banishes, and, it just kind of gets rid of whatever you need it to. So, it can hit monsters or spells or traps, so it's got a lot of utility in a lot of different situations. Next up, 2 copies of Spellbook of Eternity. Eternity gets the resources that you banish with Fate back, and you really need that, so you, of course, want to run 2 of those, just in case you accidentally, or not accidentally, but in case you are put in a position where you have to banish Fate, you want to have if you're put into a position where you have to banish 1 Eternity, you want to have the other one to continually gain resources back. So, yeah, there you go. 1 copy of Spellbook of Power. Power allows you to attack over stuff. It gives you a nifty way to search stuff. It's not the most reliable thing ever, but since you are running 2 kycoo, it's definitely worth running 1 of. 2 copies of Spellbook of Wisdom. Wisdom protects your stuff from spells and traps, so raigeki, it's around. Torrential, I know people are starting to run that again. So, you just want to be able to protect yourself from that, so 2 of Wisdom is definitely worth it. 1 copy of Spellbook of Life. Spellbook of Life is basically Monster Reborn, or it's actually more of, what you call it? Oh, what's that card called? The spell, whatever. Anyway, it brings 1 of your cards back. You have to banish a card for it, but since we're running Temperance as well as Valor, there are a lot of cards you can banish for it, so definitely a lot more consistent in this build than it is in some others. And, yeah, it's a good card. Next up, we've got Book of Moon, raigeki, and Snatch Steal. Book of Moon is actually probably the best of these 3, because you can actually use it on your own Spellbook, Magician, or Prophecy and get an extra search. But it's good generally. You want to have a Book of Moon. Raigeki is definitely staple in my opinion. You can use it just to nuke the opponent's field, especially if they've got like heroes or something. But in most situations, you're going to benefit from that, even if they don't stay dead, or even if your opponent gets resources from it. You definitely want to just have the ability to kill all your opponent's monsters if you need to. And then 1 copy of Snatch Steal. Prophecy doesn't run a ton of monsters, so having the ability to just snag one of your opponents is really, really handy. So yeah, I think that's about all you need to know about those. And then 2 copies of MST. Basically just, get rid of vanities or whatever. So that's good. Let's get that out of the way. And I've got 5 traps. I only run 5 because you don't really need a ton of traps in this deck. I mean, they can be handy, but whatever. Anyway, 2 copies of, Divine Wrath. This is actually a really good card right now, just because you can use its effect to stop stuff that activates in the hand, as well as in the graveyard or on the field. Divine Wrath can be really, really nasty in a lot of different situations, just to basically keep your opponent from doing anything. It also lets you discard stuff like Priestess, which you can then just Spellbook a life later. which is actually one of the most reliable ways of summoning it because Spellbook of Life is searchable. So, yeah, Divine Wrath, good. And then 3 copies of Vanity's Emptiness. I know a lot of other Spellbook players were opting to drop that, but I think it's really good just because you've got Malefic Stardust, you've got Priestess, you're going to be able to summon something that's kind of can stay on the field for a while, and Vanities is definitely something you want to run if you can do that, because all you need to do is summon them, flip that up, and your opponent basically just doesn't get to play unless they have an out to it, in which case they don't have an out to something else you're doing. So I like it. So that's the main deck. Let's go for the extra deck here. First off, we've got the big 4, actually the little 4, I suppose. Daigusto Phoenix, Herald, Shining Elf, and Gachi. Basically, Daigusto Phoenix is the only one you really go into. Herald every now and then, Shining Elf almost never, and Gachi never. But I like having them all, just in case. Daigusto is pretty good, because you can just like detach, attack, and then go into Downerd Magician. Woo! Downerd's really good, just for the ability to put a decently strong spellcaster on the field, and just kind of stick around. So I do like having that. Next up, Alchemic Magician. Basically, not very popular. Actually, I just kind of had one, and it actually fits in this because basically your opponent, sorry, not your opponent. What am I saying? You've got 2 level 4s in your 2 2 copies of kycoo. Also, you are going to frequently have blue boys in your graveyard, and if you Spellbook a life one by banishing one, you've got a level 4. So it's not super difficult to go into this. The only thing is, it's the effect's okay. I mean, you discard a card to set a spellbook, or any spell from your deck. So you can search your raigekis, you can search your snatch steals, that sort of thing. So that's actually really good. Anyways, next up is the rank 7s. Heavy Storm, Snatch Steal, Dracozek. That's basically it. Hierophant is okay. I very rarely summon it. Big Eye is really good, but yeah, you never really summon any of these things, but you want to have them just in case. And I've got some synchros. Let me show you what I got. We've got Armades. He's okay against certain things, and I wanted to have a level 5 synchro just in case. Arcanite is actually really good because you can just banish a blue boy to summon your Veiler, and then if you've got a kycoo on the field, you can just... oh, by the way, whenever I say just, banish something to summon, I mean with Spellbook of Life. But anyway, we're running Spellbook Star Hall, so you can actually send the tokens from that to use his effect, and then you can just blow up your opponent's entire field. So that's really good. And then we've got Stardust to summon Malefic Stardust, so we don't really use it. Crimson Blader and Stardust Spark. Stardust Spark is actually probably my favorite synchro in this deck, just because it's actually probably my favorite card in this extra deck, just because you summon this thing, flip over a Vanities, and you've pretty much won. There's not a lot your opponent can do, because if they try to destroy either of those cards, you can just use his effect to make it so that it's not. So, yeah, definitely one of the best cards in the game. Or one of the best combos in this deck, anyway. And 1 copy of Star Eater. Let's see if I can... there we go. That looks pretty cool. Anyway, Star Eater is, 3200 beater, and you can just kind of use it in a lot of different situations. He's kind of hard to summon, but with Spellbook of Life, with the level manipulation, you can do it. Not super difficult. So anyway, he's an option. I'm just going to go over the extra deck, the side deck really quickly, because it's not, super, polished. But anyway, World, I like having the ability to side-in World against certain decks, and to go with that, 2 Temperances to summon World. Let's see, 2 Max C, 1 copy of Spellbook of Power. I like having the second one just in case I ever need it. 1 copy of Book of Eclipse. I actually did consider main decking that for a little while, because you can potentially flip down, multiple blue boys, and then get, a couple of searches, but I decided Book of Moon was safer since Shadalls are still running around. generic traps, bottomless and solemn. Breakthroughs. I do like having breakthrough on the side just in case I need extra level, effect negation. So it's a decent option. Debunk. It's good against Necros. It's good against Bujins if anybody still uses them. It's good against a couple of other things too. And then these guys. Curse Seal is good against pretty much anything that activates spells. So your Necros, your Shaddolls, your even Clifforts are, since the Pendulum monsters are treated as spell cards while they're in the Pendulum zones, you'd actually hit like Scout with that and just kind of ruin it. So that's kind of funny. Anyway, that's the deck. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me grab a copy of Priestess and put it right here for the big finale. There we go. Anyway, yeah, I really enjoy this deck, so hope you enjoyed it too, and I will see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.